Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and I'd just like to take this time to address all the DC fans in the audience. Now, I'm sure many of you are worried right now about the future of your company, and that's understandable. There have been many news stories breaking from behind the scenes that are a bit unnerving. But rest assured, it's nothing to worry about. I mean, there was the news story that apparently DC Comics lost $2 million in the last year, and there was also the report that many of the higher-ups at DC Comics have been going around telling their editors to stop quote-unquote Batgirling their books, implying that they wanted to go away from creating books with a different style and different tone and reaching a wider audience, and go back more towards the grizzled, older audiences that the New 52 was aimed at. But I'm just here to tell you, all of these are rumors. There is nothing to be concerned about. This is not the time to panic. Okay, now's the time to panic. Yes, hi there folks. As I said, there have been some stories coming out from DC Comics that have not been that positive right now. And if you're a DC fan, man, I'm so sorry that you're having to go through this right now. And I want to try and help. I am here to help. I originally made a video talking about all of these news reports coming out about DC, but I could never finish it because halfway through it just got too depressing. Did anybody else see those Twix ads that they put in their book? What the hell was that? So I decided instead I'm going to take the positive route and I'm going to try and help with this video. You see, recently DC launched the DCU, which was a new line of books all aimed at reaching a wider audience with different tones, bringing in new writers with different points of views, and I said that when they put out enough of these books, I would then review them and give my take on them. They have been out for 4 months now, and sadly, after some of these stories, DC has already announced that they are canceling and shortening the runs of many of them, so I'm going to try and save as many of them as I can right now. This is the best DC books out there that you should be reading that aren't Batman. Oh my god, seriously, guys, Batman's great. I know he's great. The Batman Scott Snyder book is amazing. It's fantastic. There are other DC books out there, and today we're going to talk about them. Alright, first book that I'm going to talk about today is Robin, Son of Batman. Seriously, I'm making a video specifically titled DC books that are not Batman, and I still have to include a book that has Batman in the title? God, DC, diversify your lines, brother. Okay. Now, this book follows Damian, and I will admit, I have not been the biggest fan of Damian. I know many people out there consider him to be a precious cinnamon roll that is too good for this earth, but I just kind of look at him like, wow, kid, you're kind of a dick. Like, I look at Robin, I look at Damian Robin, the same way that I look at little kids cursing in movies when the writer thinks that's a cool thing to do. It's like, no, not really. This book is excellent. This book is all about how Damian, right before he became Robin, he spent a year training with his mother and grandfather to be the next big assassin of the League of Shadows, and he had what was called the Year of Blood. And throughout this entire year, he was just committing crimes all over the planet. And this is Damian going, it's time I make up for these. So it's him traveling the world with his giant man-bat pet, which is actually kind of cool. It looked weird on that cover, but I actually kind of like the giant man-bat pet. And it's him traveling the world trying to make up for all this. I love this. This is the redemption story of Damian, and it is excellent. And it's only 4 issues in, but so far we have seen him going up against weird, crazy Mayan statue monsters. We've seen him fight Deathstroke, and he has actually teamed up with the daughter of Nobody, who was a villain that he actually killed in the early pages of Batman and Robin. It's really actually a good book. I love this redemption story. They have made me, a guy who, as I said, didn't really care about Damian, really care about Damian. I want to see where this story goes. Next up, Black Canary. Black Canary is cool, it is funky, it's got style to it. I really enjoy what they are doing with Black Canary's character. It's very different from the Black Canary that I grew up loving, but it's still good. Like, I don't care if you completely change a character as long as you do something good with it. And this is really creative. In the New 52, Black Canary was a soldier. She was an elite member of this special squad of soldiers, and now she's done with that. She is done with that, and what she is doing is trying to get cash. She is broke. So she has joined a band, because it turns out that with those vocal powers of hers, she is actually an amazing singer. So she has joined a band that is traveling across the country. But as soon as she starts this tour, their little guitarist, who cannot speak, actually turns out to be an alien. And all these other aliens are after her, trying to capture her, and Black Canary is like, well, yeah, enough of this. We gotta, like, go find a way to protect her. And they're like, if you don't do all the stops on your tour, you don't get any money. And she's like, oh, so I kinda have to protect this kid and still go on the road and hit up all these shows. This almost sounds like the setup for some weird 80s Saturday morning cartoon show, but it works. I would watch that Saturday morning cartoon show. After saying that, I really want to see someone put together a really kick-ass Black Canary 80s Jim and the Hologram style opening to their cartoon show. That would be amazing. Someone give me an animator who can do that. The next one I want to talk about, I'm a little bit hot and cold on, but I definitely think that it is still worth pointing out and it is still worth checking out, is Prez. Now, Prez is a story of in America in the future, they end up electing their first ever teenage president. Because in the future, you can just vote wirelessly through Twitter and through every single other app out there, and you can elect anyone that you want, whether they're running for president or not. And this girl, known as Corn Dog Girl, ends up getting elected simply because she ended up screwing up in an instructional video at her corn dog on a stick job, and someone made a vine of it and became the most popular thing out there, so everybody just went, oh yeah, vote for Corn Dog Girl, alright. And now she's president. I am a big fan of studying politics. That is something that is a fascination of mine. This is a great, hilarious commentary on the state of politics in America. If you are someone out there who enjoys political humor, political satire, this book is excellent at. In fact, in all honesty, I don't know why more people were not talking about this book when it came out. I think it's just simply because it's from DC and it is so different from what you would expect from DC. Because honestly, if the first issue of this came out from Image Comics, it would be the indie darling that everyone can't stop talking about. So I absolutely love that first and second issue. However, the sales on this book were so low that it was supposed to be an 8-issue miniseries, but before the first issue even hit stands, they cut it down to 6. And like I said, issue 1 and issue 2, amazing. Love them. Issue 3 and 4, you can see the problems come up because you can tell from 3 and 4 that someone came in and went, shoring this up. Whatever you got left, cram it into 4 issues. I know you have 6 more issues left, cram it into 4. And yeah, it just kind of starts to lose its focus. But that first and second issue, totally worth checking out. I know a lot of people out there might be like, well, I don't really like serious comedy. It's not. If you've ever read Chew from Image, that weird, crazy, zany, wacky world that they create there, it's like that, but with politics. So yeah, I absolutely love that first and second issue. Speaking of books that are ending way too soon, yes, DC said that every single one of their DCU books would last 12 issues. They don't care how bad the reviews are, they don't care how bad the ratings are, they don't care how bad the sales are. 12 issues on all of them. Yeah, then they came in and just canceled this one at issue 5. But I still want to talk about, because I have really enjoyed it, Green Lantern: The Lost Army. Now in the current Green Lantern books, Hal Jordan is the only Lantern left, and all the other Lanterns have disappeared, and no one knows why. Well, Green Lantern: The Lost Army follows John Stewart and his team of Lanterns in wherever it is that they have gone to, and I don't want to spoil where they wound up, but it is actually a really cool setup because they find themselves stranded in a part of the galaxy where their rings can't map, their rings don't know where they are, they don't know where their power batteries are, so basically, they have to find some way of surviving before the energy in their rings wears out. That's a great setup. That setup alone should have lasted 12 issues. I don't know why it's getting canceled at only 5, but man, I really enjoyed it. If you want what is going to unfortunately be just a very short, good Green Lantern run, then check it out. Now before I go any further, I should just point out that none of these are in any kind of an order. I'm not ranking them from favorite to least favorite. I'm just talking about them as they happen to come to me. And what is coming to me right now is Constantine the Hellblazer. Now for anybody who never read, Hellblazer was a great series for Vertigo, which is DC's mature line of books. And when they announced that it was going to be taken from the Vertigo line and put into the regular DC Comics universe, I was disappointed. And turns out I was right to be so, because, yeah man, even when the Constantine New 52 series was good, you still just looked at it and was like, yeah, but it'd be so much better if it was a Vertigo book. Because it was just such a flat, muted version of what Constantine should be, and I was like, you have to make this a Vertigo book again, because you will never be able to reach, in a regular DC Comics book, what Constantine should be. They are actually doing that in the Constantine Hellblazer series. It is still not a Vertigo series, but I read it and I am just shocked at everything they are getting away with. Oh my gosh, this series, it is definitely true to what Constantine is. It is definitely true to his character. He is a drunk asshole. There is no other word for him. In fact, he is almost irredeemably bad in this book, but you still kind of root for him and you don't know why, which is the perfect way of summing up who John Constantine is. But the thing that I love about it the most is that it captures the creepy side of magic. It is not big superheroic magic. No, it's the weird, creepy, in the corner of your eye kind of magic, which is what John Constantine should be. So I think that book is nailing his character. Way to go. Alright, let's now go into something completely different. I am going to now go with Starfire. Starfire is a character who for the longest time I have said needed her own series. But if you watch that video of mine where I was talking about the announcement for all these DCU books, I had some thoughts on the writers they chose for this series. I love Starfire. She's a fantastic character. She's always been one of my favorite members of the Teen Titans. I cannot wait to read this book by her. Who's doing the creative work on it? Those guys again? God damn it. Yes, Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti are known for being horn dogs. That's the best way I can put it. I know someone in the comment is going to go, no, they just have a quirky sense of humor. No, they want to get characters naked as quickly as possible in books. In fact, that was one of my concerns when I was talking about them taking over for Starfire, because Starfire, after Red Hood and the Outlaws, holy cow, what had been done to her character was so offensive. So I was looking at this like, guys, just rein it in, just rein it in. Starfire has a large, young female audience. Just rein it in. Do not go into your normal horn doggy state. But I will say they did rein it in as much as I have ever seen them rein it in. And Starfire is not the savage, angry warrior that she has been in some people's horrible interpretations. And she's not just some robot like she was in Scott Lobdell's version. No, this is actually a pretty good balance in between the Teen Titans Go cartoon version of her and her version from the old Marv Wolfman Teen Titans series, which in all honesty is what most Starfire fans want to see her as. I think they're actually capturing her voice and her personality incredibly well, and I really enjoy a lot of the supporting characters they have added in there. Now, I will admit that we're on issue 4 right now, and by issue 4, a lot of the running gags they have started in there are starting to get really tired, but it is still an incredible breath of fresh air for any Starfire fan out there. So, if you are a Starfire fan, like I said, they could rein it in a bit more, but they are still capturing the character better than she has been portrayed in a long time. Speaking of her old Teen Titan buddies, Cyborg finally has his own book. Thank God. Oh my gosh, they made such a big deal about Cyborg during the Justice League during the New 52, and then for 3 years he was the only member of the team who didn't have his own series. That's kind of weird. And not to mention, even if you were reading the Justice League book, he basically just stayed on the Watchtower the entire time. Was like, yeah, okay, I'll open up the portal for you. Alright, cool, there we go. I'm glad that they are finally doing stuff with Cyborg, and I really dig this new series. This new series, first off, the new design of him is great. I'm sorry, but Jim Lee, that design you made for him was bad. It just looked like a man shoved inside of a garbage can. This looks sleek, it looks aerodynamic, it looks like the advancements of technology. Like, I never understood how every other technologically based superhero out there, they understood, alright, go sleeker, go slimmer, go smoother. That is what technology is doing these days. But Cyborg, they're so like, add more stuff on him. Put bigger jetpacks and boots and claw hammers on him. No, they have now finally adapted Cyborg into this new style of technological heroes in which he is sleek and smooth. That looks cool. I really dig that new look on him. But beyond just his look, I really like how they are portraying him in this series, because I've had a big problem with how Cyborg has acted in the New 52 because he has just been so serious. And he has had really no personality in any series other than just, yes, this is what I am now. I am just a machine now, more machine than man. Which, don't get me wrong, I fully understand that Cyborg, like many great heroes, are meant to be a metaphor for something, and Cyborg is a metaphor for people who have lost limbs, who are having to deal with that. So I'm not saying that shouldn't be a part of his personality. I'm just saying that is all that there is to him in the Justice League series. And they are indeed doing that with his character. They are indeed making that a part of his personality, but they are giving him more to his personality. They're not making that the entirety of his personality. They have made him a character, a fully fleshed out three-dimensional character, and I love reading it. I love reading that this is a guy who, yeah, he used to be a football star. Of course, whenever he interacts with fans, is going to want to take a selfie with them. Of course, he's going to be a guy whenever he meets other jocks is going to go, let's talk sports right now. And speaking into that serious side to Cyborg's personality, yes, like I said, they did make what happened to him a part of his personality, but they also come out and go, yeah, me being serious and kind of depressed, that didn't start there. I have a backstory. I have problems with my father that existed long before this. They have really made him a very fleshed out character, and I applaud this book because man, did Cyborg need that. Next up is Midnighter. Oh boy, Midnighter. Okay, are you one of those guys out there who's like, oh, I want something extreme. I want something that's hardcore, something that is brutal and bloody. I want a book like Kick-Ass. Oh boy. Put that book back down and allow me to present to you a series that will put some hair on your chest. Midnighter. Oh my gosh. Midnighter is like Batman on steroids. Midnighter is basically a one-man ass-kicking machine. He is a guy who had so many artificial implants put into him with the sole purpose of just making him a killing machine. And he goes out there into the world and finds other people like him who have had these different artificial enhancements that just make them weapons and just beats the shit out of them. And yes, the action is indeed amazing. They captured that sense of just high-flying, quick, butt-kicking so well. But he's not just a murder machine. They actually give this character more heart than I have seen in almost any other mainstream comic book series out there. There are so many moments in which it's like, oh, he's about to be a brutal hard ass right now. And then no, he just turns around and it's like, no. Time for the feelings to come in. Like there is an issue about a little kid who gets kidnapped, and after he murders everyone that was kidnapping her, he then actually gives her a really touching speech that just fills you with hope and makes you go, this kid's gonna be alright. Thank you, Midnighter. And they do that in almost every issue. I'm amazed at how they can balance that. Next up, the series that this version of Midnighter actually spun out from, Grayson. Now, when they announced that Nightwing was going to fake his death and then going to become a super spy carrying around a gun and walking around with no mask on, I was like, that's not Dick Grayson. I don't want to see that. Reading this book, we're a year into it, it's Dick Grayson. They have somehow managed to take Dick Grayson, put him in a totally different environment, and still kept him entirely true to what his character is. In fact, a lot of the great moments in this series come from seeing Dick Grayson in these situations going, no. I'm going to hold on to who I am. I am still Dick Grayson. I will not compromise that. I really enjoy that, and in the most recent issue of it, he has returned to Gotham and talked to all the former Robins and Batman sidekicks about how he had to lie to them about his death, and man, it was touching. It was really well done. So yeah, if you were looking for a Batman series that is not Batman, Dick Grayson, that is probably the best one you're going to find. Go for it. Okay, we're almost at the end here, so let's go with Martian Manhunter. Now, I have always been a fan of Martian Manhunter. I thought that guy always needed a lot more attention. I'm glad that this series is finally taking him and going, let's just go nuts. Because he's had his own series before, but they're all kind of bland. This one is just going balls to the wall crazy with it. It's taking a lot of the stuff from his pre-52 continuity and from the new 52 continuity, and it's actually finding a pretty smart way of merging them together. It's the story of the White Martians coming down to Earth, but it's really creepy. It's not like a big army invasion that the Justice League has to go stop. No, it is like a creepy, oh man, there's monsters around us kind of thing, and it's succeeding very well at that. But when it comes to Martian Manhunter himself, spoiler alert, he dies in the second issue of his own series, and it's slowly just revealing, yeah, he wasn't the only John Jones. He wasn't the only Martian Manhunter. He split himself up into different people all across the world, and now we're getting to meet all these different people, and they're slowly finding their way to each other, and every single one of them is very different from each other because they're each a different part of his personality. And it has me really excited to see what will happen when they all meet together and what this new Martian Manhunter is that we will be introduced to, because I like every single one of these individual people. I cannot wait to see where this series goes, and I just have to say, I love that I don't know where it's going to go. This series is so crazy, but it admits that's crazy. It's not like one of those weird books that are crazy, but then it looks at you like, yeah, you understand that, right? No, this book is crazy, and then it turns to you, and it itself goes, what the hell just happened? I can't believe that this book does that so well. I applaud this book. I definitely say check it out. Next up, Superman has gone through a huge change in the DCU. He has actually lost 90% of his powers and had his identity revealed to the world. Now, this story is being told in 2 books. In Superman, it's the story of how he lost his powers and how his identity was revealed to the world. In Action Comics, that series is set in the present day after everyone knows who he is, and he's just traveling around the world on a motorcycle with almost no powers, still trying to save the world in whatever way that he can. Now, Superman is not good. I wish that it was. I do, because it's written by Gene Luen Yang, he writes many of the Avatar: The Last Airbender books, which are very good, and he actually wrote Shadow Hero, which is in my top 10 favorite books from 2014. And when I read that, I was like, this guy can do Superman. He will be excellent on Superman. He's not excellent on Superman. Maybe they are just telling him what to write, and he has no control over it, and maybe after the first story arc is done, he'll be able to come in and go, okay, now I get to do what I want to do on this book. But yeah, this first story arc is bad on Superman. Action Comics, on the other hand, oh my gosh, Action Comics is so good. Action Comics is excellent. That's the one that is set in the present day, and Greg Pak is writing that one, and he totally gets that there can be such a thing as a street-level Superman. Now, when they announced that they were going to do this Superman, I'll admit I was freaking out about it, because Superman has been screwed over so much since the start of the New 52. It seems like everybody who has tried to adapt Superman since the start of the New 52 has been people who have been like, yeah, Superman's kind of bad. Superman sucks. Let's just completely change him in the opposite direction, and Superman is not bad. Superman does not suck. You do not have to change him in the complete opposite direction. However, this series, it understands Superman is not about lifting tall buildings. It is not about a guy running faster than a speeding bullet, being more powerful than a locomotive. It is just about a guy who tries to save the world and help out the community however he can. In fact, there is a really touching moment in which he is sitting down with all the people in his community who have rallied around him to support him and gone, listen, I can't protect you anymore, but we can protect each other. We can all be Superman. It's like, that's Superman. You got it. Way to go. Also, the art is excellent in that series. He's fighting these giant shadow skull monsters, which is stupid. I'm sorry, that's kind of dumb. But the artist makes it look awesome. So yeah, I totally recommend checking out Action Comics. It is, oddly enough, one of the truest Superman adaptations I've seen in a while, and all they had to do was take away many of the things that made him Superman. But Greg Pak found a way. Okay, we've only got 2 more to go. Next up is Justice League 3001. Now, this is a continuation of last year's Justice League 3000, which was a story set in the year 3000, and before anybody asks, it is not a part of any certain continuity. Like, Booster Gold and Blue Beetle show up in this, and it's like, you guys didn't exist this way in the New 52. That's because it's not part of the New 52. It's just one of those books that's like, don't think about it. Just enjoy the ride. So yeah, first off, get that out of your head. But in the year 3000, a corporation has tried to bring back the classic superheroes by implanting some kind of a weird virus in people that causes them to transform into hybrid versions of the old heroes. It's weird. It's really freaking weird. But it has actually created a team of misfit versions of the Justice League. Like, Superman has all the memories of all his greatest exploits, but none of the memories of being raised by Ma and Pa Kent or of all the morals he stood for. So he's just some big, dumb, braggadocious version of him. And Batman has got all of the memory of his skills and his talents and his detective knowledge. But he doesn't have the memory of his parents being murdered, so he's just like, yeah, I'll be a superhero, I guess. I don't care. Why am I even doing this? Wonder Woman has all the memory of being a savage Amazon, but none of the memories of being an ambassador of peace. So they're really just a screwed up version of the Justice League. That's all they are. They are weird, cartoonish versions of them. And honestly, I did not like Justice League 3000. I didn't. I read and just found it very unpleasant. But I decided to check out Justice League 3001, and it really feels like they have finally hit their mark. Like, it took them a little time, but they have finally realized what this series is supposed to be. It's supposed to be weird and goofy and wacky. I mean, it's being written by Keith Giffen, for crying out loud. The guy who invented the old bwahaha days of Justice League International. That is a guy who knows comedy, and and he should be doing comedy. And this series, yes, sure, there are some big developments. It does go in directions that's like, ooh, where's this going to go next? But it actually is kind of a comedy now. They actually do have the characters interacting with each other in ways that are quite humorous and uplifting and fun. In fact, they have even introduced the old Justice League International versions of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, and they are great additions to the cast. But also this year they introduced Supergirl. Basically, Supergirl ended up time traveling from the past to the future, and she can't get back now, and she is just looking around like, you all are idiots. This is stupid. Why are you all acting this way? She's basically speaking for the audience, and it is such a great addition to the team. So yes, Justice League 3001, check it out, but the biggest recommendation right now is just plain Justice League. Listen, I feel like I shouldn't even mention this one because after Batman, it is the biggest DC comic out there, but I honestly hated the first part of Justice League in the New 52. I just read it like, this doesn't seem like Jeff Johns writing. Like, Jeff Johns should be amazing on Justice League. And I read this, and man, it does not feel like him at all. It feels like Jim Lee was writing it. And oddly enough, as soon as Jim Lee left that book as the artist, the book got instantly better. I'm not saying there's a conspiracy there. I'm just throwing it out. So yeah, after Jim Lee left the book, the heroes actually started acting like themselves because Jeff Johns knows how to write these heroes. He proved that all before the New 52, and now he's finally doing that again. Superman is acting like Superman. Wonder Woman is acting like Wonder Woman. Flash, Green Lantern, all of them are acting like themselves. And he has added new additions to the cast, which I have actually really enjoyed. Lex Luthor being on the Justice League, I thought was a terrible idea. It is actually a really great story. I am actually really excited to see where this goes. Shazam and Cyborg becoming best buddies. I love seeing that happening. But what's going on right now in the series is the Darkseid War. It is Anti-Monitor versus Darkseid. I really am enjoying this. I was a little bit nervous at first, but we're about halfway through it now, and Jeff Johns has come back in and gone, yeah, remember that I was the guy who wrote Blackest Night? I know how to do big fights and big crossover events. Let me show you. And that's exactly what's happening. It has reached that point in this crossover in which you just turn every page and it's like, oh my gosh, that's happening. Oh, and now this is happening. He knows what he's doing on this. So yeah, for anybody out there who read that first Justice League story and was like, oh, these aren't the people I want to read about, it's finally safe to go back in the pool again. Hop on in. So yes, there you have it. Those are my favorite books that DC Comics is putting out right now. Go to your local comic book store and check them out. Before it's too late, we don't know which one will be canceled next. We don't know how much time we have. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be fear-mongering like that. Should not be using fear to try and get people to read these books. Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. And if it isn't, Marvel's like relaunching their entire line next week, and that all looks awesome. So anyways, alright, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys want to see more from me, then make sure to hit that subscribe and click on any of the other videos coming up right after this. Thank you, everyone. Good night. So if you don't want anything spoiled, I recommend that you take this time to pause the video and go and catch up on all of it. There are plenty of places out there, like the Cartoon Network website itself, where you can actually watch the series and watch it all legally with all the profits going to the creators. So go ahead, take this time to do that now. 72 hours later. Welcome back. Wasn't that nuts?
Plus, it was the first time that two comic book companies came together to indisputably answer the question from fans, who would win in a fight? It was Superman. But that should be kind of obvious.